Welcome to our exploration of Egyptian mythology, where the tale of Sett, the jealous and malevolent brother, unfolds. In this ancient narrative, Sett's ruthless ambition leads him to commit a heinous act, murdering his benevolent and rightful heir to the throne, his brother Osiris, in a bid to claim the throne of Egypt. Join us as we delve into the rich tapestry of this enduring myth, examining the dynamics of power, envy, and divine justice in the realm of ancient Egypt. The people of Kemet in ancient Egypt were divided into Upper and Lower Egypt. Historically, Upper Egypt referred to the southern part of the country, while Lower Egypt referred to the northern part, based on the flow of the Nile River. This division was significant in ancient Egyptian geography and politics, symbolized by the white crown, Upper Egypt, and the red crown, Lower Egypt, worn by the pharaohs. Today, Egypt is administratively divided into governorates, provinces, and the historical Upper and Lower Egypt division is more of a cultural and historical reference rather than an administrative or political one. The capital, Cairo, is located in Lower Egypt near the Nile Delta, while Luxor and Aswan are prominent cities in Upper Egypt, reflecting the historical division in cultural and geographical terms. The Egyptians believe they are descendants of Osiris and Asett and their son Horus. They believe as soon as the pharaoh was given the crown of Horus, he was imbued with something of his spirit, his Ba, and became an incarnation of Horus, and therefore a descended from the gods. Horus was the embodiment of legitimate rule and order, although in some dynasties the pharaoh crown represented both Horus and Seth, joined and ruling together, as evidenced by the political tensions that existed between the ruling houses of the north and the south. Most people today don't know that Egypt was originally two countries that were unified, and they each had their own gods. The unification of Lower and Upper Egypt, seen on the double crown of the pharaoh, and the seeming reconciliation of mortal enemies, Horus and Sett, in the double crown, are political devices tied to the Osirian mythical cycle. The Egyptians believed that the solar cult was about order. The rising and setting of the sun is linked with stability because it happens without fail every day, and so it represents Ma'at, the natural order, a guiding idea of the ancient Egyptians, who were obsessed with order and stability. It's also a symbol of the pharaoh, who secures the said stability, and of the return of the divine king. In the timeless tradition of mankind, the priests of the grand city of Unu solemnly crossed the Newea at the dawn's twilight, before the sun's rise. Yet, this morning's vigil atop the temple plateau held a heavier air than usual. Throughout Kemet, grief shrouded the land for their fallen ruler, Osiris. The passing of a deity was a profound event, unsettling the very balance of the universe. Osiris had 3 children, 2 sons named Osiris and Sett, and a daughter named Asett. Asett later married her brother Osiris. Sett, who had descended into the dark realms of the underworld. No longer did he stand proudly on the prow of the sun, battling against Apep, the serpent of chaos. Now, he served as Apep's right-hand man, embracing darkness and disorder. Instead, consumed by jealousy toward his brother Osiris, the god of vegetation, light, and the afterlife, Sett coveted the throne of Egypt, which rightfully belonged to Osiris. In a malicious scheme, Sett plotted Osiris's demise by dismembering his body into 14 pieces and scattering them to the farthest reaches of the world. Upon returning to Unu after the burial of their revered god Osiris, the priests were deeply troubled to discover that Sett had slain his brother Osiris and usurped control of all Kemet. Asett, Osiris's beloved wife, had fled westward into the hills. Mose of Zau made his way into the temple and toward the large meeting hall. Outside the hall he saw a familiar face. At first, he could not put a name to that face. Something about it all didn't make sense. What was a beggar doing in the temple at this hour? And why would he recognize a beggar? Then The truth struck him. That was no beggar despite the shabby clothes she wore. That was Asett herself. The goddess was in disguise. "Your Eminence," said Amos, loud enough only to be heard by her. "What are you doing here? It's not safe." She turned and bade him to come closer. "I need your help," she said. "Sett has robbed us all, but especially me. Osiris and I wanted to have a son. If we act quickly, it is still not too late. I need for the priesthood to gather all the pieces of Osiris. They are to bring them together so that I may perform sacred rites and to consummate the union which was denied us. Our son will become the rightful ruler of Kemet." Amos looked confused but nodded slowly. "Why do you hesitate?" she asked. "I don't doubt your powers, Eminence. It's just that Sett is undoubtedly looking for you, and I fear for your safety. What do you suggest? I am from Zhao, here in the Delta. I know of several places where we could bring together the pieces of your husband and find the peace and security required for your ceremony." "Good, and thank you. Your Eminence, my name is Ahmoz. I'll see to it right away." "One more thing," said Asett. "We also need to have Auser's royal accessories. Do you know of someone who can steal them away from Sett and his forces?" Ahmoz thought for a moment and nodded. "Yes, your Eminence. I know of some officers who are still loyal to you and to Osiris." "Thank you, Amos." "My lady." The priest hesitated. "Has Sett become corrupted by Apep, the serpent?" Asett shook her head. "I don't know. In a matter of days, all the scattered pieces were retrieved and brought back to Lower Kemet. Ahmoz identified a suitable warehouse in Zhao for the sacred ceremony. Asett utilized her magic to restore her husband's body, enabling him to posthumously conceive their son Heru. Within a week, the newborn god Heru emerged, possessing all the qualities necessary for rulership. Endowed with his father's skills and his mother's wisdom, Heru also possessed the keen sight of his namesake, able to perceive distant things clearly. Like the falcon from which he took his name, Heru possessed the agility to swiftly confront and defeat his adversaries. In the initial month following his birth, Heru engaged in numerous battles against his uncle Sett. The young god proved remarkably successful in these conflicts, causing Sett to fear potential defeat in the ongoing war. Seeking an edge, Sett proposed an underwater battle challenge to Heru. "We shall transform into hippopotamus and confront each other beneath the waves. Should either of us surface before 3 months pass, we forfeit. Do we have an agreement?" To Heru, this proposal appeared fair. Soon they engaged in underwater combat against each other. Asett feared for her son's safety and vowed to aid him in his battle. From above, she cast massive harpoons at the hippopotamus below, but mistakenly struck Heru. "Mother, you have struck me. Please aim more carefully," he cried out. Realizing her error, Asett focused on Sett, who was several dozen meters ahead. Despite her careful aim, the harpoons initially glanced off Sett's wet body. Eventually, one harpoon found its mark, forcing Sett to surface. "Dear sister, have mercy on your poor brother," pleaded Sett. Asett, moved by compassion, allowed Sett to recover from his wounds. Later, Heru confronted his mother in disbelief and anger. "How could you spare him after he tried to kill me?" Enraged, Heru severed his mother's head and concealed it in the western mountains. When Ra, the sun god, learned of Heru's actions against his mother, he restrained the young god and returned Aset's head to her. Ra then bestowed upon Asett a protective crown, ensuring she would never suffer as she had at Heru's hands. Meanwhile, while Heru was incapacitated, Sett seized the opportunity to blind him by plucking out his eyes. Despite Heru's betrayal, Asett forgave her son and grieved over his lost sight. Seeking a solution, she sought counsel from Tehuti, the god of wisdom and knowledge, who revealed that new eyes could be crafted for Heru using ancient techniques. Thus, Heru's vision was restored, allowing him to see once more. Once again, Heru launched relentless attacks, seizing every opportunity to defeat his uncle in battle. Sett faced the looming prospect of losing everything, exacerbated by the intervention of his sister, Asett, in his conflict with Heru. In a cunning move, Sett appealed to the great council of gods, the Ennead. There he pleaded for a meeting to resolve his disputes with Heru, insisting on excluding Asett from their discussions. They consented to a meeting. Sett then dispatched a message to Heru, proposing a gathering at the island of the Middle Ground, where the Ennead would arbitrate their dispute. Sett instructed the ferryman to prevent anyone resembling Asett from reaching the island. The next day, the council convened. Sett and Heru presented their arguments while the council deliberated. Meanwhile, Asett disguised herself as an elderly woman, using a gold ring to bribe the ferryman, and gained passage to the island of the Middle Ground. Upon arrival, she transformed into a youthful maiden, intending to distract Sett and ensure his failure. Serving more wine to the guests, she caught Sett's attention, prompting him to invite her closer. "My lord Sett," she began, "I am deeply grateful for all you have done. Your courage makes my own struggles seem insignificant." Concerned, Sett asked, "Struggles? What could trouble such a beautiful woman?" "An intruder has invaded my home, murdered my husband, and usurped my son's rightful inheritance." Outraged, Sett exclaimed, "Such a man deserves public execution for his crimes. We will act swiftly." "No, please," Asett implored. "I cannot bear the thought of blood on my hands. Banishing him from the land would suffice to ease my heart." "Then," Sett proclaimed loudly, "he shall be banished. Thank you, my lord Sett. My home is Kemet. My husband was Osiris. My son is Heru, and the intruder to be banished is you." Sett suddenly realized the young maiden was his troublesome sister. His own words had condemned him before Heru and the gods of the Ennead, leaving him outraged. Asett departed, taunting her brother. "You have sealed your own fate, dear brother. What do you say now?" With his mother's aid, Heru triumphed in a celestial battle and expelled the usurper Sett from the sacred lands of Kemet, permanently breaking his grip on the kingdom. Seth was cast out of Egypt as a result, leading to his association with foreign lands and foreign deities. Join us as we delve into more rich tapestry of ancient myths and legends. From tales of gods and heroes to epic battles and profound wisdom, show your support by liking, sharing with others, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell for more captivating stories.